Welcome to the Next Level Life podcast with Christine Corcoran. This podcast is made for the powerhouse businesswomen who are ready to ignite their fullest potential. This is where we will dive deep into the mindset breakthroughs and sprinkle in some kick up the butt motivation so you can scale your business with confidence and clarity. Whether you're craving more income, impact, or inspiration, this podcast will be your ultimate resource for all things next level. Listen in as we have authentic conversations with game-changing female entrepreneurs as we reveal the secrets on what it takes to rise and thrive. So go ahead, ignite your inner fire, and let's get you taking massive aligned action. Are you ready to elevate? Let's go. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. So excited that you are here. There's been some exciting things happening behind the scenes, and I have so much to share with you. I've almost finished my book, the first draft that is. Been working on this really hard behind the scenes. It's all about imposter syndrome in business and how to not just overcome it, but learn to use it as your superpower. And I cannot wait to get this out to you. Obviously, it's going to take some time once I find a publisher and go through all the ins and outs of the editing and the process of all the things. Obviously, it's going to take a while, but I still want to share with you how excited I am to get it finished. It has been an absolute labor of love. And for those of you who have been part of the journey along the way, I actually wrote a different book last year. So I actually finished a book last May, and it ended up being 100,000 words. And when I started having conversations with the publishers, and I remember having a conversation with the publisher in in Scottsdale, Arizona, and he was like, it's too long. Like, it's too long for your first book. You need something that has a simple concept that basically grabs people's attention, and then you become known for that concept. And as we were talking about it, I was like, oh, I've already got that idea in my head. Like, as I was finishing the first book, I had an idea for my second book. When I explained the concept to him, he was like, yes, that is it. You should write that as your first book. And so I made the decision then that I was like, I'm going to put the 100,000 word book to the side, and I'm going to work on completing the next book. I'm going to keep that under 35,000, 40,000 words, and I'm going to get that out as my first book. So ideally then that means I'll be able to bring out 2 books in the span of 2 years, which will be super exciting. So I've been working on that behind the scenes, but it took a bit of a pause over the last few months because I was reconfiguring my program Elevate Mastermind and turning it into Unstoppable Sales. So that took a bit of time because I literally re-recorded like 2 massive modules, which was I think about 42 videos in total. And look, they're short videos, so don't stress. They weren't like 30-minute videos or anything. But there were specific modules, and it took me time to actually develop the program in depth and to then go and then record and then edit and then get the program ready and then to obviously launch it. So I actually had to pause the book writing for about 2, maybe 3 months. And basically then after completing all of that and then getting back into writing, I've just been like deep in the writing zone and just been smashing it out. So I wanted to create a podcast episode for you today to talk about scalable offers when whether it might be the right time, because with the developing of this most recent one and also talking about this with my clients in the Next Level Mastermind, all of them are working towards scalable offers. I was like, oh, I've got so much to share on this topic that I want to talk to you about this, because there are definitely some mistakes people make in the creation of scalable offers. And I want to talk to you about these because there's definitely some things you need to consider before you go and create it, and also some of the things you need to consider and develop while you're creating it to save yourself time, energy, and effort. And so I thought I would do an episode on it. So what even is a scalable offer? Let's just start there, because if you're listening to me and you're like, Christine, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, it's totally fine. Sometimes I use a bit of jargon, but I want to simplify it for you. A scalable offer is a service or a program, a course, anything that is available for you to scale at large with more people. So that means that multiple people can buy it at once. So, and then you get to actually deliver it on scale, on mass. So anything like this takes a bit of time to create, and obviously then takes time to launch and get it out to the public in order for people to buy. And when creating a scalable offer, you need to definitely consider your capacity and how many people you can serve in the process of it, because depending on what's included in the offer. So like for instance, with my Unstoppable Sales and with Next Level Mastermind, both of those offers are scalable offers, but only to a certain capacity until I need to hire a support coach, because there is one-on-one coaching involved. So I just needed to consider that. And then also, like, I have a third offer, which is my 30-day money mindset upgrade for busy business owners. That is an audio program, and I can have as many people through that as possible, because there is no actual contact with me, but it is an in-depth audio program to support you getting out of scarcity into abundance, working on your money mindset, and developing a blueprint for wealth. And it is awesome. It's such an epic program, and I'm getting such positive feedback from it. And I possibly actually haven't talked about it much. So I need to kind of get it out there a little bit more. And I haven't actually done a launch process around it at all. So it's very much just sitting on my website, but it is definitely a scalable offer. So that's why I mentioned it. So when it comes to creating a scalable offer, there's a few different things I want you to consider. So first things first, you need to consider what your values are, because you want to make sure that you're living into your values and creating offers that are going to serve your values long term. Because if you go and create something that doesn't meet your values, then you'll end up hating it and not actually want to promote it anyway. So let me give you a couple of examples of that. One, I previously had a client that was creating an online program where people would take themselves through this course and she would have no contact. One of her biggest values was connection, and she was basically cutting herself out of that connection by turning everything online and everything DIY. So then she had no interaction with her customers at all, other than possibly a sales call. And even then, she wanted to automate that through a sales page. And then people would literally buy from a sales page and go straight into the course and have no contact with her at all. And what happened is that she created it. She went through all the effort of recording it all and putting it up on a platform and like doing everything, the workbooks, like got it all ready and then didn't launch it. And so when we actually uncover what was happening for her, she recognized that one of her biggest and most important values was connection. And she knew, like deep down, her subconscious mind knew that if you go and launch this program, you're not going to have connection with people. And that's what you really want. And so it was out of alignment with her values. So that's the first thing I always look at. The second thing too is like you want to go, what are your personal values, but then also like the concept or your vision for your business and how do you want it to support the lifestyle that you want to live? Because creating a scalable offer may be perfect for you because you do actually want to have more freedom, more flexibility in your ability to travel, or your ability to have more time with your friends, your family, your kids, like all of that. It might be really worthwhile. And so you want to consider what that looks like down the track. So I would always consider, where do you want to be in 5 years' time? And does this offer support that? And if the offer does not support it, then it's out of alignment with your long-term goals. So it's got to be in alignment with your values, in alignment with your long-term goals. Thirdly is you want to consider when the right time is in order to bring in a scalable offer. Creating a scalable offer from the get-go is a little bit more challenging. Like from the startup part of your business is a little bit more challenging if you don't have the numbers in order to sell it. So depending again on the price point, and if you wanted to do it as a group, then sometimes it might be challenging to also convert those numbers because you don't have the audience numbers. I always find that the best time to actually bring in a scalable offer is once you've been in business a few years and you've already developed an audience, you've already developed a beautiful following of people and past clients that you've worked with. And I look at this from a couple of points of view. One, so we have the numbers in order to convert them, right? Secondly, that you actually have proof of concept. So it's so important that you are actually creating something that works. And so ideally, you would need to take a few one-on-one clients through the concept that you're developing for that program, take them through it in order to get the proof of concept that it actually works, it does deliver the results that you want it to deliver before you go and scale it. That's so important. Otherwise, you're just creating something random, you're not 100% sure, you don't have proof, you don't have the confidence backing, and it may not serve the growth of your business. So I would always suggest figure out what the concept is that you want to have as your scalable offer and what's the transformation that you want to create for people, and then go do that for people on their own first, so one-to-one first, before you then go developing it into a program to scale it. Which then brings me to the next point. Before you go and create it, before you go and put all of those hours into developing it, creating the workbooks, the videos, the content, like all the stuff that's going to go into creating this program, before you go and do that, do your market research. Make sure it is something that people want to buy. One of the biggest challenges that I had with launching one of my offers years ago, which was called the Energetics of Money, was a money mindset program. But back then, people did not know that money mindset was a problem. So people weren't out there in the market actually doing the research going, oh, I want to work on my money mindset. They had no concept of it. Most business owners did not connect the dots between their problems in their businesses with money being their money mindset. They just did not connect the dots. They thought it was sales. They thought it was marketing. And so they weren't actually actively out there looking for the solution, which made selling it very hard. So I actually had to go through almost like a 6-week period of actually warming my audience up and teaching them and educating them on the concept that when this is happening in your business and you're creating inconsistent income, it could be your belief systems and your money mindset that is preventing you from growing and expanding. Now, in 2024, so many more people are talking about money mindset. It's a larger concept. And so people are so much more aware of it, and they're most likely more looking for a solution to the problem that they are already identifying with. but they did not identify it as a problem back then, right? When I launched the first round of Energetics of Money. So go and do the research first is what I'm saying. Like, don't put all that energy and effort into creating something if you don't know that people really want it. You want to create this beautiful sweet spot between something that you really want to deliver and something that people really want to buy. Because when you find that sweet spot, that's when it becomes such an epic offer that you can put out to the world that people really want. And it's easier to sell and you're more likely to have a high level of success. And I think this is also then brings me to the next concept is don't name it something that is so vague or so random that people don't know that it's the solution that they need. Make sure that you spend time on really figuring out the name and the sales messaging that goes with it in order to support the conversion. Because if the name is so vague, then this is literally why I changed Elevate Mastermind to Unstoppable Sales. This is the perfect example. Elevate Mastermind, I love the name, but so many people keep using the word elevate. It's just almost been oversaturated with that word. And the concept back then when I first launched it was an evolution on from my Elevated program, which was very much about like stepping into the mastermind concept because more people were talking about masterminds and it's really the experience that I wanted to create. But secondly, the actual transformation that it created was for them to feel unstoppable in their business. And that was getting really confident with sales. And then the money mindset piece, even though it's part of the program, it's not part of the sales messaging as such, because that wasn't necessarily a driver for people to buy. So I needed to get even clearer on the sales messaging. And what I'm also finding this year in 2024, a lot more people are buying based on concepts that are really speaking to their problems and their needs and desires, but they're buying from places of certainty. And so when the offer is more specific, there's more certainty behind it. So allowing yourself to create something, but spend time on getting that name right will actually support your sales conversions, because if the name is one of the first things that you say, if that doesn't speak to people, then you'll lose them very quickly. So allowing yourself to make sure that you come back to creating something that people really, really want. And even if, and I'm working through a client of mine at the moment with her program, and we spoke to like what she really wants, the transformation that she really wants to create for someone, then we identified that her ideal clients aren't out there in the market searching for that as a solution. So we need to look at, okay, so how can we create a program that is actually, one, solving the problem that they're actually looking to solve, but then also giving them what they really need as well. Because what happened is that she identified that the client isn't really aware of the actual problem they have. And so they're not really in the need of the solution. So what we are actually working on is creating something that works together. So we're going to sell them what they want and give them what they need. So we're going to ask them to come in this door and go, yes, we're going to help you with this. And we are actually going to help them with that. But then we're also going to help them with this as well. So it's identifying really and that's where coming back to market research is really key, because you need to have conversations with your ideal clients to ensure that they really would buy it. Because otherwise you can spend a lot of time building it out. And if you are at the stage of business where you're probably already close to being fully booked within your business, you don't have a lot of time to spare. So you want to make sure that the time that you are spending is on creating something really epic that's going to serve the growth of your business and is going to be easier to sell. And then lastly, what I want to share with you is things you need to consider, or the perspective shift that you need to have when introducing a new offer to your offer suite. So if you've already got many people asking for this, then it might be a beautiful inclusion that is easy for people to be like, yeah, actually, I really want that. I really need that. Let's go, right? But majority of the time, in my experience, is that we've got to make sure that we still follow a launch process with a new offer like this. You cannot expect the sizzle to sell it. You cannot expect the excitement of like, oh my God, I'm creating something new, and expecting people to jump in. People are still going to take the time to stop and determine, is this the right fit for me? Is this valuable? Is this worth my time, energy, and money? Like, there is definitely going to be still objections that come across. And I see what happens. There's a couple of different things, mindset shifts that need to happen in the process of this. The first time you launch it, is actually most likely you getting comfortable with launching a scalable offer. And often you are most likely effective at selling one-to-one, but one-to-many has few more challenges. And launching a scalable offer means for it to be worthwhile, you need to have a certain number of people in that offer in order for it to be worthwhile, right? So you've got to recognize that you're not just selling one-to-one anymore, you're selling one-to-many, and that's where the sales strategy and the sales process changes. And so I just see so many people go into the concept of like creating a scalable offer. I've got this course, I've got this program, all of these amazing offers that we create. And then we actually don't do the due diligence, right? The market research behind it to make sure that's what people want. And secondly, we don't give the offer its attention that it needs in order for it to be effective for the long term. So what I mean by that is when you're bringing a brand new income stream into your business, you have to treat it like a whole separate business on its own, especially as a scalable offer, because it will need different attention. And so sometimes we need to build up the part of the business in order to have the one-on-one income coming in to support the launch, because the first launch may not, it may, because if you create something epic and people are really wanting it and you've done the market research, it may go very, very well. Other times it may not, because when you're launching a brand new offer into the market, there are going to be more questions, more objections, and more hesitations because it's new. All right. So we've got to be conscious of the fact that it may take a couple of launches for it to really pop off. So you want to allow yourself that when you're introducing a new income stream, that you want to give it the attention that it deserves, and allow yourself to go, I'm going to first master the art of launching, because that takes a lot of energy, effort, and practice and preparation to get right when you're launching to many. And it also takes a lot of lead gen beforehand too. So sometimes people go into creating this program, they spend all this time creating a new offer, and they go to market with an unprepared launch process, and they go to market with no marketing strategy in place, no sales strategy in place, and they just offer it. They just literally put it out to the world like, here you go. And they just introduce it and then put it out into the world, and then that doesn't work, it doesn't sell, and then they're like, oh, people must not want this, so I'm just going to stop selling it. And so they either ghost their launch or they just don't relaunch it. And what I'm trying to say here is, if it's a new income stream, you've got to treat it like a brand new business, and you want to then put that marketing effort and sales effort behind it in order for it to be successful. And so you've got to be willing to perfect it. You've got to be willing to, there's two separate things: perfecting the offer, right? Perfecting the actual thing that you're putting out into the world, and perfecting the sales messaging, and perfecting the sales page, and perfecting the sales process and the strategy that you have in place in order to get it out to the right numbers, in order for it to convert at the numbers you really want it to convert at. And that takes time and takes practice. So when you go into launching a brand new offer with the mindset of, I'm going to launch this as many times as I need to launch it in order to perfect it so it can scale, that's where you'll actually hit the jackpot. So recognizing that you're creating a scalable offer, which means it's going to need attention, it's going to need new eyes, it's going to need a lot of people to see it in order for it to scale. So you want to recognize it as a separate entity and start working towards building it out. And this is where I think a lot of people just give up on it. They just launch it once, it didn't work, so then they just give up on it. Whereas that's actually where you go wrong. You've got to launch it again and again and again until you get it right, and be willing to actually test and measure. There's so many factors that go into play. And I think one of the things that I just don't judge my launch results, I focus on my efforts. And I do what I can in order for me to get it out there, and then I learn from it. Like I recently did a launch debrief with my OBM for the most recent Unstoppable Sales launch, which was a really good launch, to be honest. It was great. I didn't hit the numbers that I really wanted to hit this time around, but it was launching a brand new offer technically into the market, because people did not know what Unstoppable Sales was. So it was launching a new concept. It was launching a brand new offering into the space. So I know it's going to take a little bit of time. Plus I was also launching to a very cold audience. So I've got to be conscious of that. And so then I'm like, okay, what can I learn from this launch in order to perfect it next time round? And so I've taken all these incredible lessons from it, and I need to already tweak the messaging on the sales page. I need to tweak the sales process. I'm going to play with a different launch strategy. So really thinking about this is looking at this whole separate income stream and looking at how you perfect every part of it. So you've spent how many years perfecting your one-on-one business? Right? That's how I think about it. You've spent probably 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, however many years developing your one-on-one business. This is a separate thing. So you need to look at this, a whole new income stream, and go, what am I willing to do in order to make this a success? And if you come into it with that attitude and that mindset, that's where you will actually succeed on a whole new level. So I hope this episode really resonates with you, because one, if you are already currently fully booked and you are needing space, you feel like you need more freedom, you feel like you need more flexibility, you feel like you'd like to create a scalable offer so you can buy back your time, then it definitely is time to create a scalable offer. And I hope that this has actually helped you see it from a different perspective, to go, this is a long-term game. This is not just a short-term quick fix, get rich quick scheme, right? If you're going to launch a brand new offer, really put your energy into it, put your heart and soul into it, and then improve the sales process. That's what it comes down to. So I hope this has resonated with you. If you feel like you would like support with this, then you can absolutely come be a part of the next round of the Next Level Mastermind. This is how I support you with all of this. So we get super clear on your scalable offer. We look at everything within your current business in order to set yourself up to give you the space to actually create your scalable offer. and then we can perfect every part of it in order to get you out there into the market. So if that resonates with you, make sure that you add your name to the waitlist, which is in the show notes, and I will be in touch with the next round. There are limited numbers of this because there is one-on-one coaching involved, and there's also an in-person day in Brisbane as well. So if you would love to be a part of that, it's a 6-month mastermind, and it's one of my highest level support containers. So if you feel called to be a part of that, feel free to check out the link in the show notes. Otherwise, I hope you have an incredible week, and I'll speak to you all really soon. Thank you for listening, and if you found any value out of this episode, make sure you hit the follow button so you get access to the episodes as soon as they are live, and make sure you come hang out with me on Instagram. You can find me at ChristineCorcoran_coach. Have an incredible week.